I've always noticed that a lot of Christians think, oh, if you're in entertainment, that you can't be in that space. I'm like, what? You accountants think you're not sinning as well? One thing I've always been sure about is I've always known myself, and I've always known I've been called to this space. I every step has always aligned, and it's always been God's hand. I actually got a job when I was in first year. So I worked at 2 post-production companies, and they were like, come and work for us, you're amazing. I was like, no, I'm black, so I have to finish this degree. I was just like, I'm not gonna risk it for a biscuit. I can't. I'm black, man. My story is always different to you lot. Sorry. I only realized that in uni though. I didn't realize that before.
We've got Teeyana in the building. She come with her Gale's coffee. You're rich, boy. You're rich, and you got diamonds on your Crocs and that. Come on.
You're so silly.
But people, if you're listening, you don't know, but if you're watching, you already know. We got Teeyana, Aromi in the building. Yeah, we're recording. I'll get straight into it on Bread and Butter podcast.
You guys.
So what are you gonna do to prep?
Nothing.
Exactly. Because you're you.
I'm me.
So let's get into that. What is your bread and butter? That's something that we always ask people when they jump on.
Oh my gosh, what's my bread and butter? Oh, just
introduce yourself and tell people your bread and butter.
Hi guys, it's Teeyana Aromi. I am a senior producer in marketing by day, and by night I am a content creator. My bread and butter is living out life as myself. That's what I've always done.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
You've been in TV for a while, innit?
Yeah.
I remember seeing you Twitter days back in the day.
Yeah.
It's like one of the first black people I saw that was in the TV industry.
Yeah.
What was
TV
that like?
production, child, fighting for my life. Like fighting for my life. TV as a whole, I think the issue is, first of all, there's no HR. So they get away with anything.
Facts.
They get, like, a camera, even you as talent.
Yeah.
A cameraman can say the craziest thing to you.
Facts.
And you don't know who to talk to about that. Like, there's no one. Because freelancers, he's off tomorrow. He's on another project. Who are you telling? Literally.
You're working with bare freelancers, basically.
People don't realise that, you come to set, next day, someone else. Someone else holding the camera. You're like, what happened to Ben?
Where's Ben? I ain't seen Ben in time. Ben's in Australia working on celebrity.
Trust me.
It's so funny because I was building relationships with these man, like thinking, this is my guy, like, and all of a sudden they're gone, like they get chopped and changed.
Gone.
Crazy.
Gone. The people you want to make friends with is the producers. They're the ones that stay there for long. Like they're the ones that will take you on for other projects. But I will say, like, I had the craziest things said to me. Like, I'd give like a director his coffee, be like, "Where's my cocaine?" I was like, and I'm young, like, I'm like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to say. And he's like, just joking. You took a while to say just joking. You took a very long time to just say, just joking.
What sort of production was this on that he's asking for cocaine?
This was when I worked in post-production. So I started my career in post-production. I really wanted to be like black woman in editing because I didn't see anyone who looks like me. And I also, while I was in uni, I started my YouTube channel. And I think that was the best thing for me because I had equipment. I went to film school, so I had equipment just there for me. So I was like, let me do this.
We're jumping. You went to film school. What? How does that even happen?
Yeah. I was going to say that as well.
As a young black, like, how do you tell your parent? Which part? What part of Africa are you from?
Nigeria.
How do you tell a Nigerian parent, I want to go to film school?
No, my mom was fine with that. She did. I was in college.
Yes.
I was doing acting. Or behind, I've always been dual talent. That's one of my superpowers. I've always been in front of the screen and behind. I don't want to pick one. I'm powerful at both. So I was studying acting, doing musical theatre. My mom did not get it. She'll come to my shows, but she just didn't get it. So it was either go Arts Ed, which is a drama school, or go Bournemouth Film School. My mom said, go and get a degree because she didn't see this as a degree. So she was fine with that.
So she was fine with it out of the two options, basically.
Yeah, out of the two options because
at least this one she's getting a degree.
I studied business as well, but I was just really bad at. I know my power when it comes to like learning. Yeah. I'm a visual learner. I'm a creative, so the way I learn is quite specific, like visually, and business wasn't like that. So I did business for my mum. Yeah. And I was just like, babe, I'm not doing well at this. Please, let's just go down the media route. And she was like, okay. And I was like, this is how much people can make, blah, blah, blah. And she was like, cool. So Bournemouth back then, and I think it's still... It was still one of like the notes, like if you go Bournemouth, they're like, wow, like people in the industry are like, wow, you went Bournemouth. It's a really, it's like Harvard kind of back then. So I went Bournemouth Film School. And I was
Bournemouth like any black people there?
So I my film school in particular, so there was 2 courses, TV production, you actually do it in Bournemouth, or film. You do that in Salisbury, a town called Salisbury with just white people.
I didn't know Salisbury from when you buy stuff, it says made in Salisbury, like production. Right? I've never been there.
Yeah, it's just a white town.
Okay.
So literally 3 black people in the film school. That's when I knew I was black. No, it sounds funny. That's actually when I discovered I was black. I was like, oh, I'm different. Yeah. Because growing up in East London, I grew up with everyone. And you don't get treated a certain way because of your color. You're just all one. Like that, you can roll with the Asian kids. You can roll with the Lithuanians, the Polish people, the Caribbeans, my Jamaicans. Like Nigerians were probably the bottom. You just pretended that you weren't Nigerian. You just moved with the Jamaicans, but we were all one. Yeah. So going into uni and actually being asked questions about blackness, I was like, oh, I've never had to think about this. So that's when I realized I was black. But my mum was happy to support that journey. And I made a lot of money, like in that town, just being a waitress. So she was like, hey, this is bringing money, Shasu. Wow. So it is well. Obviously transitioned into the industry. I actually got a job when I was in first year. So I worked at 2 post-production companies and they were like, come and work for us. You're amazing. I was like, no, I'm black. So I have to finish this degree. Yes. I will come back to you when I'm done. If the job is still there when I'm done, absolutely. I worked for a really cool TV commercial place called Work. It was called Work. They produced the best ads. And then there was another place in Soho, both in Soho. But I was just like, I'm not going to risk it for a biscuit. I can't. I'm black, man. My story is always different to you lot. Sorry. That's what I only realised that in uni, though. I didn't realise that before. Yeah.
You were super intentional. Like, so from a young age, did you like love film and TV? Because it seems like Iman said, like going film school is like crazy. And being in the industry for 10 years, like, and stuff like that. Do you get what I'm trying to say? Yeah. So where did that come from? Was that like when you were young? Did you identify that early? Or
yeah, I think it birthed from, I think, EastEnders. I used to always like analyze the sets. I was like, oh, what's this? And then I think there was like, you know, secondary school, we have to do media. They'll be like mise en scene. And I was like, oh, this is interesting. I think because I was studying drama and media in secondary school as well. And I was like, I'm really interested in both. So I think, I've always had a love for visuals in general. Like I'm always analysing things. I'm very analytic when it comes to these things. Like I'll analyse shots and all this stuff. But yeah, it's always been a thing since I've been young.
You said you're a visual learner. I think we just, like, there are a lot of people that might be listening now that might feel like, actually, I can't just study like that. What are some of the things that you've done, number one, to identify the fact that you're a visual learner, and then what things do you put in place to help you succeed as a visual learner, just for people that might be at home that feel like they're struggling but don't know how they can still get to your level, and almost might see it as a deficit or a problem as opposed to like really leaning into it as a bonus?
Yeah. So one thing I do now, I don't avoid reading because that used to be a thing, and I've learned that you actually can't avoid it. It's important. But with the visual learning, I'm attracted to colours. And I learned that yellow is a memory colour. So I'll highlight things in yellow. I think pink and blue also pop. But understanding what colours your mind is attracted to when you are reading. And sometimes as well, I'll writing stuff out and relaying it to like my friends really helps me as well. But I always have to watch a video on it. So if I've studied, let's say I'm studying how to do 3D art, I'll read the book, unfortunately, or I'll read it in parts because I get overwhelmed. I'll read a chapter, highlight it, and now I'll like write out the things that I spotted or the things that I want to stick. And then I'll probably like pair up with like my little sister. She's very academic. Pair up with my sister. She'll kind of like quiz me. And that helps because when you learn things, in general, you should be practicing with someone else. Like, hey, I learned this today. Let me share that with you. Yeah. You sharing that actually sticks in your mind. I don't know the science behind it, but it's an actual thing. Yeah. So that has really helped me. There's so much information on YouTube. YouTube is still relevant. I'm actually using YouTube for Bible stories because as much as I can read it, I actually like seeing the animation. So that helps me pair the two. But yeah, that has really helped me with my visual learning.
I love that, still reading. I think sometimes, like me, I hate reading. I used to really hate reading. But now, it's like you said, as much as I don't enjoy reading, I enjoy that I'm going to learn something. I enjoy that once I finish this, I'm going to be in a better position than when I started. And like you said, then what I try to do is do a presentation on it. So whether that be to my wife or to my kids I'll just turn it into a PowerPoint on what I've read.
Yeah.
And then, like you said, those key points will stick. And when I do presentations, I always turn presentations into stories. So I think about stories that I can do to tell the presentation.
Yeah.
And then that helps me remember. So it will be like a year later, I'll be talking like it's me, but actually it's the book that I read.
Yeah.
But I've turned the book that I read into a story about that I can
Yeah.
relate to, that I can then deliver.
Yeah.
And I'm saying these words. So sometimes when I watch people online, I'm like, well, you sound like me. I'm like, no, we read the same book.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
I'm going to do the presentation thing. I like that because that's even things that you can sell as a course.
Yeah.
If you build that, you can sell that because it's not copying. It's more like you've gathered so many information from different places. Now it's your own. We all get like books are inspired from other books. Like
information is out there.
literally-
The information's out there. It's all about how it's delivered, who it's delivered from as well.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm trying to say? I think that's one thing that people need to be comfortable with. Just because sometimes someone might have an idea of like content that they might want to make, and then they go on Instagram and they see someone making like a similar idea, and it's kind of like you're delivering it to your audience though, in your specific way.
Yeah.
Because if you want to deliver content about, let's just say, leggings, bro. Leggings have been around for how many years? You know what I'm trying to say? And they ain't got a monopoly on leggings, innit? You know what I'm trying to say? So don't feel away about it. You know what I'm trying to say?
Well, what made you say leggings? Of all the things.
Do you know what? I was gonna start saying something.
Are you cold?
No, I'm not cold. Do you know what it is? I don't want to start talking about property. I know. Even when he said I was waiting.
No, do you know what? No.
Property guy. Even when his lip was trembling.
This guy, even if he talks about food, he must say, you know what? This plate reminds me of one house where.
No, I'm actually not like that.
If you saw Tayo in Cannes, that's when I'm actually glad that I met you. Like, obviously we knew each other, but I got to experience your personality fully. I was like, you're so funny.
I am. But
oh my gosh, this guy is so. First of all, you're very relentless, and I really love that. Like, so, I said, do you have a pass? No, I just showed up. I said, okay, you're very interesting. And I love people like you, man.
Yeah, man, you have to wear your heart and sleep. But yeah, I am relentless. Like, if you did something 4 years ago, I'll remember. Yeah. And I'll bring it up. Yeah. I'll just bring it up for no reason. Remember that time when this person did X, Y, Z? But yeah, Iman's always on me about property.
I was waiting. When he said example, I was shocked. I had to find out.
Nah, Cannes was a good time, man.
It was so good.
You going to go next year, yeah?
Of course, every year.
I was going to say, yeah, so for the people that want to get into production, right, you've done some amazing work on production because you're in marketing now, isn't it? What's your favourite thing that you've worked on, first of all?
I think my favourite thing I've worked on today has probably been my META and Marc Jacobs campaign.
That's the one I was going to ask about.
Yeah, oh my gosh, that's because obviously like influencing, people think it's just one way. There's so many creators out there that you have not even seen, and their skill, there's levels to this game. So I casted a lot of like CGI, 3D artists, VFX artists.
So you casted them?
Yeah. So my line of work is still production, but I also cast talent. So depending on what the campaign needs, I'll look for that talent.
Can I stop you? Can we go? Because I really want the young people that are interested in this kind of stuff to learn it from the beginning. So can we go back as far as the brief? So META and Marc Jacobs are linking up.
Yeah.
And they're like, we want to produce. What does that look like, basically?
So what that looks like is there's the department before me is business development. So either META has reached out to them or we've reached out to META. They've said, we've got this Q4 project that we really want to do. This is the needs, this is the objective, this is the wants. Every single thing that we need before it goes into production is given to business development. Then we go through client kickoff, where I will meet the client. I might have some questions like, okay, you want this type of creator, but this is what the budget is saying. This is what the average post is. And we'll go through all of that before we actually fully kick off the campaign, because we need to give them the realities of what is going to happen. Because I think a lot of clients, they love to say, we want this, but they've given me money for this. And I need to be like, I can try and give you this. We need to meet in the middle.
Would you say business development? So would you say this the step before you is a better place to start for someone coming in, or can people just start?
People can start at my point. I have nothing to do with business development. That's if you want to be. If you are in account management, that's probably the department you would be in. But it's very salesy as well. I'm not interested in that.
Okay.
So I have nothing to do with that area. Production for me is, okay, linking up with the client. Hi, I'm Teeyana. I'm going to be leading your campaign from A to B. We discuss the needs, the objectives, and some of the issues we might face. I never try and create as issues. I'm always like, I just set an expectation because I'm going to make your dreams come true.
I love that.
Then they'll tell me the kind of like creators they're looking for, or whatever talent it is. When I was working with Diageo, they wanted a lot of like actors and things like that. So every campaign is different.
Yeah.
So I need to understand who you are looking for. They always give me archetypes that do not make sense. We want a lifestyle creator who does this, who does this, who does this, who does this. And I'm like, interesting. So I have to go out and look for that creator on a global scale or market specific, i.e. US, UK.
Yeah.
And then I would send a casting list, be like, hey, this is the people we found. They would review it. Most times they say no to everyone, even though it matches the
Perfectly.
profile they gave me.
Yeah.
Because clients are wayward. And then we would probably cast it again. And then when we start contracting the influencers, we give them the brief that we have created. I usually create the briefs. Don't love creating the briefs, but I usually create the briefs.
On the bigger ones, yeah, not specifically to this one, but on the bigger ones where like META and Marc Jacobs, let's just say, Google are involved and blah blah blah. What is like the influencers' tasks and what have they been paid on those?
Not specifically to this project.
Yeah, but just in general.
It depends because it depends the skill of the influencer and their rate at the end of the day. Like an influencer might be like, one post is 20k, but it might be because they're really popular, i.e. someone like Monet McMichael. She's huge in the US, very popular. I think we really wanted her, but her rate started from like 50k for one post. It made sense though. She's everything she tells everyone to buy, they will buy.
Yeah.
So we're not going to argue with that. I just don't have the budget.
Yeah.
The tasks might be dependent on the goals of and that's why we have to go back to the goals of the campaign. So the goals of the campaign will be, we want to reach 10k impressions. We want to reach this amount of reach. So we have to cast according to that. So that would be the i.e. We have to target influencers who are on 1 million plus, or we have to target influencers who are micros, and how much the potential impressions will be. It always just depends on the goal. And I'll tell I did a gaming app and everyone's deliverables was 2 videos and 6 stories, but it was in different bursts.
Yeah.
And that campaign had a really, really good budget as well. But again, we have to align with what the creator's rate is. It's not, we might have a budget.
Yeah, but it's
we predict, okay, each person we're going to pay 9k, but someone could be like, no, I'm 12k. And if one creator has only accepted 5, then I have more money to give to this one because this is their rate.
Yeah.
So it always just depends. And this is why conversations with each other is important as well, to understand what the average is. And sometimes brands don't have budget. You might be 12k, but I genuinely can only give you 9. And that's where we can, I'll be like, I can consider that for next time. I always advise the clients as well when it comes to money, this is the average, especially when I'm using CGI creators. They don't price on, I've got 10k, I've got 1 million. They price on skill.
Yeah.
So they're very different to influencers. So I have to educate the client as well on what that specific influencers. Clean influencers are not the same as lifestyle influencers. Yeah. Their rate is completely different. They might even be a little bit cheaper. US creators are expensive, but they make sense because they all have an audience and they see this as a business. It's completely different to the UK. Actually, the UK is very expensive, but they don't need to be expensive. I'm not going to lie. UK creators are probably my least favorite creators to work with?
I think it goes back to what we speak about just in general. Just the US, they're very business minded.
Very business minded.
They will run their, like sometimes in the UK, you got an Instagram account, and not only you, let me not even talk about you, but the people around you are, is it influencing a business? Are you?
How's he a little influence?
It's not even a real, in America, they run it like,
yeah, but also the business, the agencies here as well, and the businesses here, they don't like the risk because the return isn't guaranteed here because of how we as an audience view influencing. Yeah. And people are like, oh, people genuinely think this is going to fade away. No, it works. It genuinely works. Just because that creator's marketing didn't work or that ad didn't work, you think it didn't work. It worked.
But what about the algorithm? I found, every time I put ad on my thing, it's like I've given it a curse.
It is fine. But as well, you need to sometimes also question the content you are making. Did you make it as an ad? Yeah. So that might mean that it can only work in a paid capacity, as in like them putting money behind it might work better than it sitting organically. And that doesn't mean the content failed. It just didn't work for my audience. Yeah. So you have to always go back to a drawing board of, I know sometimes my stuff can feel a bit addy. Yeah. I'm okay with that. If paid money is being put in behind, because it's not my audience. Yeah. It's going to be pushed to someone wider. But if I'm trying to do something that's proper organic, then I will try and stay as close to the brief as possible while still being me. Exactly. And just because it didn't work doesn't matter. You did your job. Yeah. You're not a salesperson at the end of the day. You are just a creator. Yeah. And I think a lot of brands forget that as well. You're not selling anything. You're not a salesperson. Otherwise, you would be in a different industry. Yeah. You are a creator. You are just advertising. When we see billboards, how do you know there's conversion? You don't. Like, it's the same as creators. Yeah. I don't have to give conversion. And not every campaign is about conversion. Some are awareness. Yeah. Some are just to boost certain things. It's not always to sell. Yeah. So I think some brands forget that as well.
I was going to say that let's go on to the other side of what you do, basically, because you're also a content creator. And I think that your content creation is kind of like, what would you call it? It's kind of like lifestyle, kind of like soft life. You know, there's a lot of women that want that kind of content, want to be able to do that kind of content creation, because, correct me if I'm wrong, you're basically being paid by brands to be you. But that didn't happen overnight. Tell them a bit about your content creation, what you do, and I'm sure there will be a lot of people that would like to know how to get into that.
Also, by the way, if you're watching on YouTube, we can see that you're wearing the content creator outfit. These trousers.
TikTok shop. These are viral on my TikTok shop.
These trousers. I don't think I ever seen no female without these trousers on.
You man bangs. No, you're good though. You bang out watching content.
I'll have to.
Thank you. Bang out watching content.
This did 1 million views on TikTok. Thank you.
Trust me.
It's a very good commission. But you have to be okay with working for free for a very long time.
How long is a very long time?
I'm glad. This is like a listen. Almost every episode.
Yeah.
We ain't forcing guys, we're not forcing them to
say it. We're not paying them to say this.
We're not forcing them to say it.
And that's why not everyone can be a creator. Yeah. Because if you're going into content creation for money, my darling, you're going to be very disappointed. I think what makes it special for me is because I studied production. Production in general is just me. Like, it has never felt like work. And to be able to just show up as myself, the reason why I even started YouTube, which was 9 years ago, was I wanted to be a representation for Christian women who look like me, because I didn't feel like I fit into that box. I still don't. I don't wear like long skirts. I'm not like very churchy. I'm a follower of Christ, as opposed to, I'm a Christian, but I would say I'm more of a follower of Christ. And I just wanted to be an example that it's okay to be yourself and love God. That was so anything outside of that was not my intention. So I just showed up consistently. And then that's when the brand stuff started happening. And I'm really grateful for this job, because I think this job even allowed me to understand what knowing my worth was in this space. Because for me, I don't need management. Like, I have someone who manages like my comms, but I don't actually need a manager because I understand the business of it. Yeah. And I think if you are planning to be a creator and you want to be successful in this thing, you have to be ready to study the business, because it's not just about probably the video aspect is just a little percentage of it. Understanding the business and how to make money is the majority. But yeah, I think I'm in this space not expecting much and getting maximum result. And I've always placed God in the center of what I do.
Yeah.
So I think that has allowed me to, even with such small numbers, I make really good money. Like I can say I do make really good money, and I've been able to sustain myself at a good level than people who are on like 300k. And yeah, I think people think about the numbers and things like that, but it's really and truly community. There's women on my page who are like, oh my days, I remember you from YouTube, and I'm like, whoa, you're still here. Like, thank you for being with me.
Yeah,
but it's a testament that I don't know how to not be myself. That's one of my things.
Yeah. I want you to try and translate something, right? So I think that you're absolutely right. It's important that you said that, because I guess that Iman and I, like, we've been creating content for a long time, and we always said we create content for free in it. But I think that in your perspective, you came in being in the industry. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So you kind of knew the steps to take. You could be very strategic from the off. So you mentioned you understood the business, so you understood how to make money from a small following. Is there a way that
I understood the business after.
You understood
Not
the business
first.
after? Okay,
No.
cool.
Yeah.
Now that you understand the business, though, what I want to get to is that how has your understanding directly related to you earning money at an earlier stage than someone typically would have? So what I mean by that, let me give an example. Maybe you understood that brands wanted to connect with young black women that were interested in skating, so you created free posts for free. Like, has there been anything like that where it's been quite strategic that, do you know what? I understood that I can dominate this area, and then these brands came. Because you've done some collaborations with some really good brands, innit? Like, what's your 3 favourite brands that you've done collaboration with?
I think my 3 favourite brands has been NYX. Oh, I love NYX. NYX Cosmetics. They are for the black girls. Coca-Cola.
I was going to say Coca-Cola's crazy.
Coca-Cola was really... like,
I saw that one.
Yeah, Coca-Cola was one of my favourites as well.
That's crazy.
It doesn't get bigger than Coca-Cola.
Bro.
Think about it brand-wise.
Bro, the last Coca-Cola brief that I actually heard of, they paid someone like 1.2 M or something like that.
Yeah, they
but that was like what's the Hadid or something like that.
Yeah, they were quite difficult they were probably my most difficult client to work with. Like,
it's levels.
Because there was a lot of back and forth that I wasn't used to. But I didn't take it personal because I know I understand
They're
it.
tight on their brand.
Yeah. And then I would also say, oh my days, there's so many brands. Fashion Nova. I really like Fashion Nova. Especially this new person that has taken over. I don't know who she is, but she's so lovely. Wow. They just make everything easy for I just post and they just let me be me.
So is there a time where you've been very, very intentional and strategic and said that I'm going to do this because I think it can lead to this? And how's that played out? Just for the people listening, because I know there's a lot of people that want to do that.
One thing I've done is I've studied, I always have people I like referring to, not to copy their content, but just to see what they are doing, especially the girls who work with loads of good brands. There's a few, Lydia Dinger's what amazing creator who's able to integrate products without it looking like an ad. Even the way my clients have spoken about her previously, and Lydia's worth everything she asks. That's one thing I'll say.
Yeah.
There's another creator, Darjane, like she's very good with bringing production into her content. So like even her shots, it's just very cinematic without it looking cinematic in a way where it's still natural. So I like to just like, oh, what are these girls doing? And it'll kind of like help me understand, okay, these are what brands are attracted to. I'm taking inspiration from that, not copying, taking inspiration. I look at the brands' pages as well. What are they doing? What are they promoting? What do they want to see? And even if I'm just talking about normal things, I always try and integrate products, like using a mascara or something, so a brand can actually see. Because at the end of the day, what I know from casting is we always look for example content. So when we're saying this creator would be great for you, the client needs to see content that you've done before that would make sense. Because especially with us, especially casting, I can't look at every single post. So you have to be intentional with your thumbnail. You have to be intentional with your caption. You have to be intentional with tagging the brand if the brand is relevant to that post, so that person's able to, and especially your first 9, make sure something's going on that makes sense that the brand can pick up. Or even messaging the brands and being like, hey, I just did this. Would just send it, not even to ask for anything. I'm just sending this because I did this. CeraVe, is a skincare brand. I used to tag them in everything. They used to ignore me, but do they talk to me now? Yes, they do. Because they know I've been talking about them for ages. Even if you feel like, oh, this brand is getting bare free promo from you, trust me, they will pick it up. Someone will pick it up, because we also have tools and systems that pick up words. So if I've mentioned Levi's before, they can put my name in to this vetting tool that we have and see, has Teeyana ever mentioned Levi's? They'll pick it up.
I heard about those tools.
Yeah. We pay thousands for these tools that will pick up things. So don't ever feel like, oh, because I mentioned Levi's 4 years ago, it's not going to be relevant. It will come back to you, trust me. But I've learned to be strategic about everything I'm doing without it compromising who I am. Like, if the product doesn't need to be in the thing, it doesn't need to be in the thing, you know. And showcasing my world in general, products are everywhere. That coffee box is in the background, and I'm just talking, and I'm walking in my living room. Those things are very intentional.
I love that. I guess you mentioned something earlier, like for me and Bricks, it's important. Faith, like our faith is really important, and it wasn't until, you know what, I didn't realize how much I talk about my faith until I did this podcast.
Same.
Because all of a sudden, like, people just stop you. Oh, I love how you guys talk about. I mean, olders, youngers, like, they always talk, and it's something that you don't realize because you're just living your life, and it's just a big part of your life growing up and so forth. You spoke about, you know, obviously the way you dressed and so forth, maybe not being, but I've gone on your page. I would never, if you never said anything, I never would have thought that the way you dress is any different from anyone. I don't feel like you're very provocative or in how you dress and so forth. But talk to me about that paradigm of being a Christian and maybe sometimes feeling like, can I say this? Can I do this? Because I know, for example, like myself, there's certain brands that I might thought, oh, can I work with them? Then I thought, you know what? I don't know, you lot is a bit, sometimes your content's a bit, I don't know, devilish, you know what I mean? Man can't really.
That is so funny. I thought you were going to go softer.
I was trying.
Your content is a bit...
spiritual. Not the spiritual that we follow.
Devilish.
So I'm like, you know what, let me leave it. Like, you know, not every money's good money.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But how are you, do you ever feel a pressure? Because obviously, you know, there's an audience following you, but obviously you're being yourself. And obviously your faith is important to you. Have you ever felt pressure? Have you ever had like a pastor or a spiritual leader say, oh, tone this down or do this? Like, what's been your experience of your faith and your work?
Yeah, I think growing up in the church, I didn't feel like I would fit in with the women. Like, it's very much, you're too loud. Like, I remember, and I've always said this story, that one guy, I used to go to a very big church. I remember one guy, I didn't even know he was pursuing me. I didn't get the memo.
Pursuing is so funny.
I didn't even like him.
Funny.
It doesn't get any African church other than
pursuing.
I didn't opt in, so I wasn't aware. And I remember he said to me, oh, like, I wouldn't, like, oh, you would be a really, like, I wouldn't consider you just because you go out so much. And I was like, oh, do you not understand what I do? And that, I've always noticed that a lot of Christians think, oh, if you're in entertainment, that you can't be in that space. I'm like, what? You accountants think you're not sinning as well? Just because it's not outwardly in an entertainment space. One thing I've always been sure about is I've always known myself, and I've always known I've been called to this space. I every step has always aligned, and it's always been God's hand. So if you don't understand it, that's fine. And I'm happy to say that I've been called here and to reiterate that to you, because some people need to understand that. It's not everyone that will look at your page and be like, because you might confuse the saints. But because I've been so sure of that, that has always been my compass on like what I do. So even things, and there's little things as well that I do that I feel like it just makes me different to people. Like now I don't drink. It wasn't intentional, but we were fasting. Of course I'm not going to drink during fasting. And then Malta was coming up and I was just like, oh, I'm gymming. I might as well just stop. And then I just felt amazing. And I was just like, you know what? Every drinking situation has actually been bad. So that's one. And I just feel great. So now that I'm in certain spaces and I tell people I don't drink, they're looking at me like, oh. And I'm like, there's little things you can be in these spaces, but there's little things that will set you apart from these people. I say these people, they're still children of God. But yeah, just being in this industry, I think being in a relationship will just, because there's a difference with knowing God and being in relationship. I feel like I'm so in tune with the Holy Spirit that I've never felt pressure though.
Yeah.
Like I'm not, you can't pressure me. First of all, I'm the oldest child. You can't pressure me to do anything. I'm the decision maker. Yeah. But I do understand to an extent why people feel the pressure. But I've never also had to feel like I've had to live up to something. Again, I've always been myself. So the Lord being my compass, even whether I was right or wrong, he's always been able to bring me back. And I think just allowing yourself to live, knowing that Christ is in the center, and allowing yourself to live. And if you do step out, he'll always bring you back, has been my compass, if that makes sense. More now than ever. My 20s, I was a little bit reckless, but I'm glad I got that. I'm like, thank you, Lord, for allowing me to get that out my system. Because imagine now I'm 35 and I'm still trying. Child, sit your ass down. Go and read your Bible.
I was going to ask, so what's next? What you got planned next? What are you looking to do? What are you excited to do?
What am I excited to do? I feel like I'm just excited I'm just taking each day as it comes, because I feel like this September, obviously spiritually, it's the birthing month. So much has been birthed. So very overwhelmed. But I'm just excited to see where God takes me, because I feel like it's different to what I envisioned. And as a Christian, you can have your plans, but you have to leave room for God to say, no, it's the end of that. Go this way. So I'm very much in a state of, Lord, wherever you want me to do, wherever you want me to go, I am an open vessel. And my friendship groups are now changing. And I'm being more aligned with people who are actually equally yoked to me, because you can be a Christian, but like being a Christian and equally yoked are actually not the same thing. And that's one thing I just learned, that you can know God, but spiritually you're still not aligned. So I think some people have fallen, and I'm being more spiritually aligned with people who are actually on this journey with me. And where God is taking us, I think is huge, which is terrifying for me. But at the same time, I have to remember it's not about me, it's about the kingdom. Yeah. And that is what, I could be in these rooms with big names. Again, it's not about me. I actually don't care. One thing about me, I've never cared about big names or status or someone being rich, because I think sometimes we get lost in that. Oh, I'm with if they are not saved, if the word isn't being spoken, what is this for? So it's just coming back to that. So I really and truly don't really know what is coming. I just know it's big. Yeah. And I'm really I mean, we all know right now there's a shift. Florida isn't being attacked for no reason. Diddy isn't in jail for no reason. Like, things are coming to the surface, and the Lord is rearranging things, saying, hello, we need a reset. But yeah. Cool. What's going on with you guys? Let me ask you, what?
You know what? No one has ever asked us that.
What's going, like, what are you excited for?
What is going on, Eman? Eman, what's going on?
Not me, you.
Man, Eman's always doing this, man.
You know that guy. Come on, tell them.
Bread and Butter podcast, man, to the world.
Yeah.
Building this up, we're enjoying it a lot. The guys, you know, it's so funny. I was out yesterday, Eman, and I'm on people now. Like you said, I'm direct and relentless. People be like, I love your pod. I'll be like, I see you in the comments though. So if you're gonna see me in person now and say, I love the pod, we're gonna go on my phone and we're gonna look for your comment where you said that. Thanks, bro. Because I feel like I've met everybody that's watched it. No, but really, like, I think that we're very blessed to have this. Lovely to have the impact on people, and yeah, just more of the same. I think that we're very fortunate in. Well, I'm speaking for Eman now, but we're very fortunate in that what we do on a day-to-day is kind of like impact first. We speak about working for free. Eman and I both spent years making social media content to help families across the UK and in our community for free. And these things take time, especially when you're learning that, especially when you didn't come from a media background. So man's really learning how to do this from scratch. Do you get what I'm trying to say? I'm sure, Eman, you went through the times where we was filming without even lighting. Bro. Just on the phone, maybe even holding it.
But for me, tripod. It's the entitlement. Like that. Listen, imagine you put out free content. I'm giving you this knowledge. Then you want to DM me. And you want now free advice in the DMs, then come and like a post or come and click a link. You want click a link, you want comment, you want share. I met people, I love you, I'm your number one fan. Have you bought my book? You haven't bought a book? Comment $5.99 book. Yeah. Like, do you understand? It's like, it's mad how you can give, and people just expect it. So now they want more. And it's like, it's never ending. So I feel like for me, it's like, how do I package it in a way where it's there and it's available? And I think that's where, trying to integrate AI into it to try and say, look, how do we let technology, all the knowledge is already out there. How do I package it in a way where people can get to it? And I think that's where, for me, the next thing is, how do I make this AI thing work to really give people it without necessarily having to be on.
Yeah,
on
I like
head.
that you said AI, because I think a lot of us are scared of it.
Yeah.
And I remember someone on TikTok said, if the enemy can use AI for his own kingdom, we should also use it for our kingdom. And I said, that's right. Like, don't be scared to use things just because you don't understand it. Use it. Okay, it's a little bit weird, but how can I use it for good?
I can't lie, you'll get left behind if you don't.
You'll get left behind.
You'll get
Because
left
when
behind if you
phones
don't.
came out, I'm sure people were like, this is evil.
Yeah.
This is evil. I mean, it's still a bit weird, but use it for your good.
Yeah. But I think in everything you say, sometimes it sounds like buzzwords, innit? Like, share, subscribe, comment. But real talk, like, if you really appreciate the pod and what we're doing, do you know what I'm trying to say? I tell people, Eman and I got 6 kids between us. He's got the bigger share, 4. I got 2. But like, even just like having the kids somewhere, we leave the wives so we can come and record this.
Bro, look at the film quality. Do you know what? Look at the cameras that we're using here.
Bro, I wear a hat when I ain't got a
Three-man
trim because the
setup.
cameras are so
Come
good.
on. Look
The
at the
cameras are so good, I have to wear a hat when I ain't got a trim because...
We're telling you to like, comment, subscribe. That's all free. To give it to you cost us money.
Cost
us money to film. Cost us money to pay someone to post it. Cost us money to everything is costing us.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think in the Black community as well, we don't realize the value in these things, and working behind the scenes has allowed me to see how white people operate and how we operate. Like, we're like, well, it's a comment. Brands are looking at these things.
They're looking at it.
Companies are looking at these things.
looking at it.
Mate, the white girls will be like, love you so. Molly May alone. I want to be Molly May. Like,
They've hit a
I
laugh
mean,
out.
we shouldn't idolize people, of course, but the comments will be flooded. Just supporting alone. Us, we'll watch it, scroll past. And that is so important. Even if you see Black creators like it, like, it does make a difference
It
for
makes a
them.
huge
And it
difference.
opens up opportunity. You thinking it's not bringing anything, it's opening opportunities for us. Because unfortunately, brands are still on this tiptoey thing. Are we a valuable community to invest in?
Yes.
They're still on the fence about that. So if we're pushing each other intentionally, those things, it makes a difference, especially for the next generation. Now we're having more Black kids who are able to just be influencers. What do you mean they're just able to work on social media?
Yeah, literally.
That's what I want to see. Because if these white kids can buy houses from them, why not our kids?
And my thing is that I think with our community, we're very in person. And I think we haven't really got to the, because like I went to the Black Book Festival. You would have thought I was David Beckham. Me, I couldn't move. I stood one place, I spoke to one person. By the time I turn around, before I know there's a queue. So the love is strong. But we are more, if I see you, even like, I can't walk through the train station, someone's, bro, I love you. Like, man will come from where he's at. Like, but we wouldn't do that on social media because we haven't translated that. It's just as important.
Don't want to look her fan.
Exactly.
Don't want to be a
It's
beg.
super important. Like, even this discussion that we're having, like, guys that are listening, is super important, man. And I think that sometimes you might think that our content creators are getting paid. So why did it? Listen, it's the foundation of everything. So
Even on ads, get the bag, sis. What are you saying?
bro,
What? Say that you're going to purchase the deodorant.
Bruv,
Why you say get the
these
bag?
are-
Get the coins. Have some decorum in this place,
They
please.
kill me. They
Have
kill
some
me.
decorum in this place.
It's
Comment
crazy.
on the product, please. Even
Come
if you're
on.
not going to buy it.
Even click the link. Even if you don't, just
Click the link.
let it load.
Just click that link. Let it
Click
load
the
on your
link.
thing
Let
and
it
then come
load.
off.
And it come
Please.
off.
Literally, it helps. But yeah, it's hilarious. They've got it in America. It's us here. It's very interesting.
But Teeyana, we always ask all of our guests, what is the W and the L of their journey, or the crust and the cream, have you will. So what is like a highlight for you, and what is like a L or a learning point in your career or your journey?
In my journey, what's a highlight?
Yeah. Just one you can remember. It doesn't have to be the top one. It's just to give people insights of how great things can get, but sometimes things aren't always rosy. Could be anything, innit?
I think my highlight, and it's more of a feeling / a learning, is I have always showed up for myself. I have no matter what, I have been so consistent to show up for me. And I think younger me would have been so proud. And I don't know where that energy comes from. Maybe it's because I'm a Nigerian. But no matter what season I have been in, I have showed up for myself, and nothing has felt like a struggle, like grinding gears.
Yeah.
And I'm grateful that my life has been that, because again, everything has came with ease. There's still much more room for growth, but I'm genuinely content with everything that I've done and everything that is now. The learning for me recently has kind of been a reset, and I think it's come from the Lord, that I have to always be in a space to freely give everything, knowing or not knowing that things will come back. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
Even when it comes to my gift, just freely giving with having boundaries, of course, because the Lord is still an advocate for boundaries. We should give, but there is boundaries. Yeah. But I'm in such a different space mentally. Even though I am on social media, I don't really care about social media anymore. Before, it was like a tight thing that I held on to, because it's like, oh, without this, what am I doing? But it's just like when you place so much onus on one space, you limit where God can take you. And that's why I say, like, big things are coming. I don't know what that looks like, because it might not be big things to you, because you might not even see it. But I know it's going to be big things, because it could be in a room, like in Dubai or Nigeria, and I'm making a massive business still that you guys might never hear about. And that's the big I'm trying to move towards. Yeah. So I think there's been a lot of reshifting, and being okay with life changing has been my biggest lesson. And me being open and saying yes to the Lord is something I'm very proud of, because many are called but few are chosen. Yeah. And I fully understand what that means. It's not easy to say yes to the Lord. It's really not. And I understand why, because when he's telling you to give everything up, what do you mean give everything up? I've been working on this for 9 years. What do you mean? What do you mean by that? But yeah, I'm very proud of myself, because again, it's not easy to be in this space to do that.
Love that, man.
Yeah, no,
I hope that makes sense. I hope that answers
No,
the
it was
question.
wonderful. It was wonderful. My last question before I let you go. You mentioned that you're Nigerian. Which part of Teeyana is in Nigeria?
Word.
My name is Oyinkansola.
Finally now.
But I have English middle names. Like, my middle name is Honey, and my another name is Angel. My mom is very...
Yeah.
Honey's a bait one.
Honey's a bait one. I know Honey.
Honey's
Honey's a bait one.
Oyin, Honey. Angel... which makes sense, because I'm good at guiding people, which is, I learned that recently. I'm like, oh, my middle name is, and I'm really good at guiding people. And Teeyana, yeah.
Is that real name on your birth certificate?
Yeah.
Your parents said
spelled in that way?
I changed the spelling.
Okay,
it was actually Tiana, but I spelled the spelling. Because I used to be a rebel when I was young. I wanted everything to be different.
I love that.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
Well, guys, that's been the Bread and Butter podcast. Thank you so much, Teeyana, for joining us.
Thanks
dropping
for
your
having
gems.
me.
I know there's going to be
Make sure you
so many
follow,
people that...
subscribe.
Yes, tell them where to find you.
You can find me everywhere on Teeyana Aromi, TikTok, Instagram. I'm doing YouTube shorts now. Don't think I'll be coming back to YouTube fully unless the Lord tells me to, but you can find me there as well. And thanks for having me, guys. Make sure you follow these guys.
Absolutely. Bread and Butter, man. You already know what to do. You heard it here. Like, share, comment, subscribe, guys. If you've enjoyed the episode, make sure you do those four for us. And we'll see you on the next one.
See you on the next one, man.
Peace.